Bir tane, şurada var bir. Bu mudur Azam?
Ah, baby one. Oh, it's so beautiful.
The simple pleasure of a man whose boyhood was spent in a poor Kurdish village in Turkey. Today, Abdullah Öcalan is in exile. He is Turkey's most wanted terrorist.
What do you like?
But one person's terrorist is another's freedom fighter. So Öcalan is also known to millions of Kurds as simply the leader.
The mountains the Kurds have called home for 6,000 years are today controlled by 4 countries that no one would wish for as neighbours. In that direction, Iran. Over there, Iraq. That way is Syria, and very close to where we are now in that direction is Turkey. And it is Turkey, Western in its outlook, a member of the NATO military alliance and a would-be member of the European Union, that today commits the worst excesses of savagery against the Kurdish people.
To tell the story of the PKK's battle against Turkish repression, you first have to find your way into their landlocked territory. With such neighbours, it is no easy task.
مرحبا كيف حالك؟
We pose as tourists to pass through Syria, crossing the Euphrates and Tigris rivers into northern Iraq. The Kurdish group that greets us says Turkish troops are bombarding villages in the mountains in a push against PKK guerrillas. They agree to take us as close to the front line as they dare, but say it's too dangerous to go right up to the border. They're as concerned for their own safety as they are for ours.
مدان خانی بسر مداینا میرو بر مکشتن دستتون برجه بکن چوک بکرن مل تجلو کل با ملت خوکیر ام ربین مقصد بری خودم خلاص کردیم پا بجم چپکه.
So what is the name of this place?
It's a taste of how the Turks conduct their war against the Kurds, attacking villages just across their border in northern Iraq that might give sanctuary to the PKK, forcing thousands of peasants to flee just as they're about to gather in their harvest. A baby is so malnourished, she barely has the strength to cry.
Sometimes throws up. She has little milk for him.
This at harvest time, a time of plenty. Turkey has never accepted a separate Kurdish identity, instead labeling Kurds as mountain Turks and forbidding them to use their own language, their own songs, their own identity. In its efforts to crush Kurdish nationalism in Turkey, the army has razed to the ground some 3,000 villages, displaced perhaps 2 million Kurds from their homes.
Bizim savaş amacımız sadece kendi topraklarımızda insanca yaşama hakkını elde etmek içindir.
This man is known as Fingerless Zeki, a legendary PKK guerrilla commander. A dozen years in the mountains, a hand mutilated in battle.
başkasının toprağına, malına, mülküne, başkasının emeğine göz dikmek veya egemenlik korumak için değil. Bunun için de haklı bir savaş yürüttüğümüze inanıyoruz.
In the mountains, between 5 and 10,000 PKK fighters have conducted a 12-year hit-and-run war, tying down a Turkish army many times its size that's equipped with the latest NATO technology. But the PKK's ambitions go well beyond this war for national rights. It wants to bring about a revolution in Kurdish society itself. A starting point, to give women equal status, one that includes their right to fight alongside their male comrades in arms.
Bayanlar gerek dünyada olsun, gerek Orta Doğu'da olsun, özellikle de Kürdistan'da hiçe sayılan, ezilen bir cinstir, bir kesimdir. Bu cinsin kurtuluşu, bu cinsin kendisini ifade etmesi, toplumu ileri bir düzeye ulaştırması hiç kuşku yok ki bizim için çok önemli bir noktaydı.
It is this combination of nationalism and idealism that makes the PKK such a potent force. And its focus is this man, the one everyone calls Apo, Abdullah Öcalan, the peasant boy who started the Kurdish revolution.
Bu Agit arkadaşın şeyidir. Bir gerilacı var. Onu yapmışlar. Benim iyi bir ama erken şehit düştü.
خلقي باشور نهيله
Sirken yani tamam. Kali düzümün ettiği yani.
At his secret headquarters, far from the fighting, in a country whose name we've agreed not to reveal, Apo's word is law, as it is throughout the PKK. He has a charisma that captures the hearts of his fighting men and women, an iron will that brooks no disagreement amongst the PKK leadership, at least publicly, and a sense of mission of biblical proportions.
Kurumunu anlamak gerekir. Peygamberler Orta Doğu'da toplum önderleridirler. Adına Resul demişlerdir. Onları anlamadan önder olmak, toplumu sürüklemek çok zordur. Bu toplumları canlandırabilmek için biraz da peygamberce yöntemleri esas alacaksın. Yanlış anlaşılmamalı. Ben kendim peygamber ilan etmiyorum. Ama onların tarzına da çok dikkat ediyorum. Başarılı olmak için bu şarttır.
Apo's message attracts Kurdish disciples from all over the world. Among them, this young Australian Kurd. As a teenager, Milan abandoned life in Melbourne 6 years ago. She travelled halfway round the world to take up arms against the Turks and fell under Apo's spell.
He's not normal leader.
No.
He's different.
What makes him different?
I believe that he's little bit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Not means I'm not thinking he's the different person. He's like yourself, and also he's the human, and everything is nice in the world. I believe that his personality have it.
So you can love a leader like this, can
Of
you?
course, I love him.
She says that she loves you.
Tabii korkunç bir sevgi şeyleri var tabii. Tuhaftır bu kızların beni sevmeleri. Çok ilginç. Hiç anlattılar mı size onu?
For his fighting forces, and especially towards the women, Apo displays the attributes of a stern but loving father, caring but critical.
Milan üzerinde duruyoruz. Ne öğrenmek? Bazı önderlik olayına da çok ilginç buluyor beni. Çok halen her gün anlamaya çalışıyor. Ama Kürdistan'a da dayanamaz. Kürdistan çok vahşi bir ülke. Yani bir garip varlık gibi. Gariban bir varlık gibidir.
But Milan is determined to adapt.
I believe I became more serious for life. Because before I was living, but I feel the life. I was just living and going through inside the life. Life was taking me, not I was taken to life, you know. I didn't explain really, but I can explain after in Turkish language. Şu an özellikle mücadeleye katıldıktan sonra yaşama karşı bir ciddiyet gelişti. Çünkü insanlar katlediliyor, insanlar eziliyor.
So you're also a 24-year-old woman who's had to kill people, I suppose. Do you have qualms about that?
Şimdi insan öldürmek o kadar kolay bir şey değildir. Kürt toplumu keşke mecbur olmasaydı insanları öldürmeye. Ama mecbur bırakılan bir toplumdur insanları öldürmeye. Savaşmaya mecbur bırakılan bir toplum. Ki kimse savaşı, insanlar öldürmek amaçlı oraya gitmiyor.
...500'e yakın genç kız şehit düştü bize. 500'den fazla. Hiçbir harekette yok. Hepsi de en genç kızlar, Milan gibi hepsi. Hepsi kahraman. Kendi ayakları üzerine kalksınlar. Of kadın yani. Hep erkeğe bağlı. Mesela ben şu anda yaptığım en önemli bir eylem... ...kadını erkeksiz büyütmek. Tamam mı? Onu söyle gözüm.
Like many revolutionary movements, the twin goals of social reform and political freedom are natural bedfellows, the one meaningless without the other. The austere lives they lead as revolutionaries reflects the simple notion of their cause, a matter of natural justice, that the millions of Kurds who make up about a fifth of Turkey's population have the right to determine their own political and social development in the region of Turkey that is their traditional homeland.
Bir terör olayı olarak değerlendiriyorlar. Halbuki tamamen bir ulusal ve demokratik sorundur.
Do you accept the fact that the PKK is responsible for at least a share of the human rights abuses in this war?
Af örgütü burada büyük bir haksızlık yapıyor. Bir defa yani eğer bizim irademiz dışında bir iki sivillere yönelik olumsuzluk olmuşsa bunun genel olmadığı çok açık. Ama Türkiye'nin uyguladığı terör.
Then do you condemn any infringement of the rule of law or of human rights abuses like the killing of civilians or the taking of civilian hostages?
Geçen yıllarda çok sayıda liste yapıyordu. Geçen yıl 4-5 eylem saydı. Umarım bu sene hiç sayamaz. Biz tedbiri aldık aslında. Savaş yasalarının Cenevre Konvansiyonu'na oldukça uyuyoruz.
Turkey refuses to talk to the PKK, labeling it as nothing but a terrorist organization, much as the Israelis did with the PLO until recent years. The truth of the matter is that Turkey's hands are far bloodier than the PKK's. The testimony of a woman who 2 weeks ago watched the Turks burn her village to the ground. She saved 2 children, but her baby was burned to death. Human rights groups like Amnesty International regularly report such outrages. Just as constantly, the Turks deny responsibility and lay the blame at the PKK's door.
مالي هنا خلات كنت جو باكك هزار قالت كوش تنت جو باكك يقولوا كيا ما تشطن جا باكك نادي فش خاصم بعد ما نادي باكك يطنج دايما.
What would be the basic requirements for the PKK to put down its arms?
Sadece bir diyaloğa gelmeleri gerekiyor. Bir diyaloğa gelselerdi silahlı mücadele bizim için biterdi.
What would be the point of the dialogue? What would you wish to achieve from a Kurdish point of view?
Biz istiyorduk Türkiye bütünlüğü içinde kesinlikle demokratik bir yolla yani seçimler yoluyla Kürt sorununu çözelim. Buna da yanaşmıyor.
Öcalan may pursue democratic goals, but questions linger about some of his methods. For instance, while he seeks to portray a clean and healthy image for the PKK, Turkey and some Western police forces have accused it of paying for its war by running drugs into Europe.
Dediğim gibi büyük bir iftiradır ve ben madem ki bu kadar afyon ticareti yapıyoruz, bir tane PKK'li niye yakalayamadılar? Avrupa polisi bu kadar biliyor, elinde bu kadar delil var. Peki niye bir tek kişi yakalamadı iftira değilse? Ben de bu soruyu soruyorum. Bizim için 1 gram esrar bile kullanmak suçtur. Bak hele.
It remains a war fought in the shadows, vicious, dirty, hit and run, with a toll of dead and mutilated that continues to mount. And it cannot be won on the battlefield, and everyone knows it. Yet rather than confront it, Western powers prefer to ignore it in the interests of NATO unity and good relations with Turkey.
Mayın, hepsi mayın. Mayın, Kürdistan şimdi mayın dolu. Yüz binlerce mayın ekilmiş. Bu çok büyük bir sorun.
The Kurds at the camp of Jakuza, less than 10 kilometers from the Iranian border, are starving.
A few years ago, the superpowers did take some notice of the Kurds. But that was only in the wake of the Gulf War against Saddam Hussein, when Iraqi Kurds were encouraged to rise against him. It was a total disaster.
Our children are suffering from hunger and starvation. So you've got to make for us something to help us.
We know that. You need food, you need clothing, you need tents, you need everything.
The Allies eventually declared a safe haven from Saddam to Iraqi Kurds. They didn't bother to give the same protection to the Turkish Kurds from Turkish shells. So today, there is deafening diplomatic silence when Turkish troops invade the so-called safe haven to devastate villages which might support the PKK's goals. This is what a Kurdish village looks like after Turkish bombs, shells and troops have finished with it. 8 villagers died here, the rest ran away. What irony then that the Turks are now demanding that they take control of the 5-year-old Operation Poised Hammer, in which American planes fly over this region every day to protect the Kurds from Saddam Hussein. To give the Turks that job would be like putting a fox in charge of a chicken coop. Lightly equipped, mobile and hidden amongst mountains that are natural defensive positions, the PKK could continue indefinitely to confront and harass the Turks. The mountains are both sanctuary and prison, surrounded as they are by 4 nations that covet the rich mineral deposits, fertile land and plentiful water supplies of the region. And despite the cultural ties that bind them and the enemies that surround them, the Kurds are cursed by historic tribal infighting that is exploited by their enemy and undermines their common cause.
Dünyada olan tüm halkların hakları gibi haklar. Ne aşağı ne yukarı, ne fazla ne az.
Gava düşmin asker, kırjına merakir. Gava düşmin asker, gava düşmin asker, gava düşmin asker. İro denge apo bilintire jiddo, sebbi bilintire.
They vow to fight on, and they will. But without strong friends to back them, the PKK is stalemated. The cause cannot be won, yet the war is destined to continue.
Millet bavara, millet bi bavara, her dem peşmedire, pajne ve nagere.